3 nights ago, I decided to explore an abandoned building near the infamous Montauk Project site. The stories about this place had always intrigued me, whispers of experiments that blurred the line between science and horror. The building itself was suffocating, its long-forgotten corridors filled with decaying walls and a silence that pressed down like a weight. While poking through the rubble, my flashlight beam caught something unusual, a dusty VHS tape half buried under debris. It was old and worn, the label on it faded except for the clear, bold numbers, 013. My curiosity overpowered my unease. I pocketed the tape and left the building, the chill of the place lingering on my skin. The next day, I bought a VHS player. Something about that tape demanded answers, and I wasn't going to let it sit idle. For an extra thrill, I decided to return to the building where I found it and play it there. The sun was setting as I approached the structure. Shadows stretched across the windows, and I swear I saw something, a figure motionless, staring at me from the second floor. My pulse quickened, but I reasoned it was just my imagination. Brushing it off, I stepped inside and set up the VHS player. The tape started with static, a hiss filling the room. Then voices. "Are you ready, 013? "I want out," a deep, guttural voice replied, each word laced with malice. "All right, let's get started. Wait, what are you doing?" "I'm going to kill you," came the reply, the tone now entirely inhuman. Chaos followed, shouts, crashes, and screams. A screeching sound, unlike anything I'd ever heard, pierced the air before the tape abruptly ended. But the nightmare wasn't over. Above me, from the same window where I'd seen the shadow, came the unmistakable sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Then another screech, this time not from the tape. The sound was identical but real, and it was coming closer. I didn't wait to find out what was behind it. I grabbed my things and ran, not stopping until I was back in my car. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every creak of the house made me jump. Around midnight, I heard something I couldn't ignore, footsteps. This time, they weren't above the second floor, they were in my attic. Grabbing my gun and flashlight, I called my buddy, who thankfully agreed to come over armed as well. Together, we climbed the ladder to the attic, the cold air biting at our skin. The space was suffocating, the silence almost tangible. As our flashlights scanned the room, I noticed scratches on the wooden beams, deep gouges, as if something had clawed its way through. My stomach churned. Then came the screech. It was deafening, echoing off the walls and freezing us in place. From the far corner of the attic, something moved. My flashlight caught a glimpse, a grotesque figure with glowing eyes, its skeletal frame and twisted limbs unlike anything I'd ever seen. "Shoot it!" I yelled, and we both opened fire. The thing screeched again, retreating into the shadows. We didn't wait to see where it went. We scrambled down the ladder, out the door, and into the safety of the night. Once outside, we called 911, barely able to explain what had happened. The operator's skepticism was clear, but they promised to send someone over. We knew we couldn't stay at the house, so we packed what we could and left. On the way out, we stopped at a neighbor's house to ask if they could keep an eye on things. As he agreed, I noticed something strange, a small tattoo on his wrist that read 013. He noticed me staring and quickly covered it, offering a vague excuse. Shaking off the unease, we drove to a nearby hotel. By the time we arrived, exhaustion was catching up with us. We checked into our room, triple-locked the door, and inspected every corner. The room seemed normal, but the tension was suffocating. After settling in, we decided to run to the store to grab dinner. When we returned, we froze in the doorway. Sitting in the middle of the room was the VHS player, the same tape inside. "What the hell?" my friend whispered, his voice shaking. We immediately called the police, telling them everything. The tape, the attic, the creature, and now this. 2 officers arrived within the hour. They listened, but their skepticism was clear. "All right, let's see this tape," one of them said. This time, the tape began differently. A timestamp appeared, 1/13/1994. Subject 013, experimental cognitive variance, a voice announced. The audio crackled and screams erupted. A younger voice, presumably 013, pleaded for release. The sound of electric buzzing followed, growing louder. Suddenly, a crash, metal restraints breaking. "Restraints breached," someone yelled. Chaos erupted. The audio captured the sounds of bodies being thrown against walls, panicked screams, and desperate commands. "Security! Get him back in the..." A guttural, otherworldly screech drowned out the voices, and the tape cut to static. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. "That's enough," one of them said, reaching to eject the tape. But then, the room went cold. The lights flickered, and a low growl filled the air. From the shadows, the creature emerged, its glowing eyes and skeletal frame unmistakable, that I'm schizophrenic, but I know what I saw was real. About 7 years ago, I got an invitation to attend my cousin's dinner party. I have never seen my cousin before, and only spoke to him on the phone. I was surprised that his family unexpectedly invited me after all these years. The invitation had an uncharted address that the GPS was unfamiliar with. I used a map and pinned its location. As I'm driving, I tend to notice how far I ventured off from civilization. Trees after trees, farms after farms. Where the fuck am I going? I finally found a similar address that might be it. Approaching the house, I notice how dull and dreary it looks. It's completely engulfed with leaves and branches. This can't be it, I said to myself. As soon as I entered the rocky driveway, my aunt and uncle came out to greet me. They seemed excited and welcoming. Walking into the house, I asked where my cousin is. Answering immediately, he went to run a few errands, he should be back later. We spent the whole couple of hours talking about my mother and family. My aunt made delicious homemade pot roast that I finished off in minutes. After dinner, we played an enduring game of Uno. It was surprisingly fun and competitive. When we finished Uno, it was almost dark, and still no sign of my cousin. Regardless, I had to leave. It was almost dark, and I would have trouble getting out of this dreadful place. My GPS was ineffective, so I asked my aunt and uncle the most efficient way onto the highway. They gave me a puzzled look. "I thought you were staying the night." I told them I couldn't because I had work tomorrow and couldn't afford to miss another day. "It's much better if you leave tomorrow morning. Trust me, you'll get lost." I shrugged it off and told them not to worry. I'm an adept navigator. I could get out the Sahara Desert. Looking aggravated, they strongly advised me to stay the night for my own sake. At this point, I was getting pissed and irritable. I sighed. "Fine, I'll stay the night, but I have to get up early for work." Both of them seemed strangely ecstatic that I was staying the night. As soon as they went to go get my bed sheets and pillows, I ran out the door and got in my car. I hastily pulled out the driveway. It took me a while, but I found my way out that depressing place. I got home an hour later than expected. It was 11, and I didn't want to wake my parents up. Climbing my fence and entering the back door, I noticed the kitchen lights were on. As soon as I took my first step in the door, I see my mom sitting there looking impatient. "Where were you?" she asked. "I was at Aunt Deborah's, you knew this." "Then why did she call saying you never arrived?" "Till this day I never knew who I visited. I am trapped in a freezer, and I can still hear scratching, so this is how it ends. Bloody, freezing, and alone in the back of a damn pizza shop. I can still hear it scratching, trying to get into my icy resting place, though the sound is becoming more and more faint." How did all of this start, you might be asking yourself? Well, my buddies and I were driving to a Halloween party when our car broke down on the side of McCarthy Road. McCarthy Road cuts through the backwoods of our town like a scar, long forgotten, barely patrolled, and perfect for drunks who don't want to be found. Near the end of the road, there is a turnoff into the woods. Every year, the local college kids throw a massive Halloween party there. That's where we were headed before we got a flat tire. It took nothing for my friend Eric to switch out the tire. His dad is the local mechanic, and he practically lives there. My other buddies Aaron and Roddy were horsing around in the woods. They had already indulged in some booze. They scored some off some poor sucker at the corner store in town. Eric had the tire fixed and got back in the car, but Aaron needed to take a leak in the woods, so we all waited. After 10 minutes had passed, we figured that he either passed out in the woods or was on the verge of getting lost, so we begrudgingly marched out into the woods with our flashlights. That's when we heard him scream. We rushed toward the scream when the stench hit us, wet earth, rotting meat, and something worse underneath, something old. I could barely keep my eyes open as they began to water. When we finally caught up to Aaron, we saw it. A figure with rotting gray flesh, decayed teeth, and claws sharp as nails. It was crawling out of the rough dirt, gripping Aaron's leg and tearing chunks of flesh from it. We yanked Aaron free just as the creature pulled itself from the ground. More of it came into view. Its skin hung in strips, slick with decay, and its sickly yellow eyes locked onto us like a predator scenting blood. We ran. Roddy helped Aaron, while Eric and I led the way back to the car. "What the fuck was that?" Eric said. "I don't know, all I did was piss on the ground, and he just popped out." Aaron said, "Seems to have pissed it off." Roddy replied, "We made it back to the car, and we helped Aaron into the back seat. We could hear it coming from where we came from. It seemed like it was gaining on us. Eric started the car, and we took off. I saw the sprinting figure burst out of the woods. The look in its eyes gave me a nasty chill in my spine as it ran back into the woods. Did we lose him? Eric said. Looks like it. We gotta get Aaron to a hospital. We heard what seemed like a gargled roar as we rounded the bend. Out of the shadows, the thing ran in front of our car. Holy sherdash, Aaron screamed. The impact launched Aaron forward, glass flying around him like shrapnel. What followed was quick, brutal, and final. The car ended up in a ditch on the side of the road. As we all hobbled out of the scrap heap, we all saw the thing crawl up from where the hood of the car would have been. We took off down the road, passing Aaron's eviscerated corpse on the ground. The thing started to hobble towards us, slowly picking up speed as the woods passed around us. You know how they say you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun the guy next to you? Well, that's what happened. Roddy happened to be the slowest of us, and that's what did him in. The next thing Eric and I heard was the noise of ripping flesh and Roddy's scream. Our legs carried out on that deviled street until we finally reached town. We darted down Dearborn Drive to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Barkley was watching the TV, legs resting up on a chair. He barely noticed Eric and I crashing through the door. Sheriff, you have to help us. There is like something out there. It murdered Roddy. He leaned in towards us without ungluing his eyes from the TV. What's that, boys? Night going okay? What? Did you even hear us? Our friends are dead. Whoa, okay, calm down. Barkley shut off the TV and stood up. What happened? We don't know where this thing came from, but it killed Aaron, Roddy, and totaled my car. Sheriff Barkley tightened his holster on his hip. You're telling me your friends are dead, and it wasn't a damn deer? Son, don't screw with me tonight. In that instance we heard it, the blood-curdling growl we heard from the woods. It was here. What the hell was that? With a thundering crash, the ghoul had busted the sheriff's front door. What is that? It began lumbering towards us, faster and faster. That's when I heard the bang from Barkley's gun, but it was too late for him. The thing latched onto him, tearing chunks of flesh off of his neck, consuming his face. His screams drowned through the whole station as me and Eric bolted out the front door. We went from Dearborn to Devalue Road to Main Street and ended in the downtown area of our town. Eric smashed through the back door of Tony's Pizza, and we stumbled into the cold, fluorescent-lit kitchen. We barricaded the doors with tables, chairs, and anything we could drag across the floor. The pizza shop was pitch dark, save for the flickering neon, open sign buzzing in the front window. Eric kept watch near the counter, peeking through the blinds while I sat slumped in the corner, bleeding, shaking, trying to catch my breath. My pulse throbbed in my arm where I'd taken a hit during our escape. Might have been glass, might have been claws. I didn't look close enough. For a while it was quiet. That kind of quiet where even your breathing sounds too loud. We thought maybe we'd finally lost it, that maybe the thing gave up once we got into town. Monsters don't like street lights and sidewalks, right? That's what we told ourselves. But then, just after midnight, we heard the front glass shatter. One clean, sharp crack, like a light bulb exploding right in your ear. That same low, wet growl echoed from the dining area, closer this time, like it had been waiting. Watching. Toying with us. Eric whispered. It's here. Like he couldn't believe it, like naming it would make it more real. He grabbed a pizza pan like it would actually do something, told me to run for the back while he tried to slow it down. I'm not leaving you, man, I said, already choking on fear. You don't have a choice. He shoved me hard and I bolted. I heard metal crash behind me, the sound of claws scraping against tile, tables flipping, something being thrown. Then Eric screamed. I'll never forget that scream. Not as long as I live, which, depending on how this ends, might not be long at all. I made it to the back, slipping on what I thought was spilled sauce, until I saw the smear of red and the shredded apron lying next to it. I don't know who it belonged to. Don't want to. I saw the freezer door, hanging slightly open like an invitation to hell or salvation. I couldn't tell which. I yanked it wide, ducked inside, and slammed it shut behind me. The lock clicked automatically. Then silence. Or almost silence. That's when the scratching started. First soft, then more insistent. Nails, claws, whatever they were, dragging against the metal like it was trying to remember how doors worked. Like it was testing the edges. Like it knew I was in here. So here I am, lying all bloody inside the local pizza shop's walk-in freezer. I can still hear it scratching, trying to get into my icy resting place, although it's becoming more and more faint. Maybe it's losing interest. Maybe the cold is slowing it down. Or maybe it's just waiting me out. That thing doesn't feel hunger or fear or cold. It just is. A walking corpse with rage in its bones. And it wants me next. I don't know how much longer I can stay awake. My fingers are numb. My breath fogs with every exhale. I keep thinking about Roddy and Aaron. About Eric. About how fast it all unraveled. One moment we were just dumb kids on the way to a Halloween party. The next, we were running for our lives from something that shouldn't exist. And if you're reading this, if someone actually finds this messed up tale written on a dead guy's phone, please believe me. Don't write me off as some drunk college burnout. Don't say we imagined it. The ghoul is real. And it's out there. Don't go near McCarthy Road. Don't piss in the woods. And for the love of God, don't ignore the smell of rot. Me? I'm just hoping the cold is enough to hide me. Or kill me before it finds a way in. Either way, this freezer might be the only thing between me and becoming what I saw in those woods. The ghoul took my friends. It took my town. And if that scratching gets louder again, it'll take me too.